So for so long, I never understood myself. I never loved myself. I never loved the world. I would just wake up on this floating rock we call Earth and just live. It felt like almost every single day, if I was a coloring book or life was a coloring book, and it was just almost every day was black and white. There was no coloring between the lines, and it haunted me for so long because I never knew why emotions would come up in certain moments. I never knew why I would have wins and losses in different moments, and I never understood my habits. I didn't understand where they come from. All of these things upset me for so long. But it wasn't until I started to look at life through the lens of these questions. It wasn't until I started to live out and understand who I am as the man sitting in front of you guys today. So, with that said, I'm going to show you guys how I have understood myself through all the trials and errors. From not wanting to be alive to losing 80 pounds and pulling myself out the deepest, darkest pit. I've been able to construct these questions to better my own well being and be the man I've always wanted to become. So I'm going to walk you guys through this practice, and I want you guys to take out a pen and paper. You can use your iPhone notepad, but there needs to be somewhere that you are actively doing this with me so you guys can see the value that comes from this and you can see how powerful it is to understand who you are. So we're going to go through a set of 3 questions and then end with a overall wrapping up question that's going to bring everything together. But these questions are going to help you better understand yourself. First and foremost, let's get into the first question. It's going to be, what is your lowest moment? So the reason I want to ask you guys this question, and I want you guys to ask yourself this question, is because it is simply life-changing. When you can understand why your lowest moment happened or your biggest loss in life happened, it makes you not want to go back. It makes you have a better understanding of how not to go back. It makes you have a better understanding of how to learn from that lowest moment. So for me, I'm going to walk through this very briefly with you guys. And again, you should be taking a lot of notes. You should have your pen and paper. You should write the lowest moment at the top and then write these 3 bullet points under. But this video is not going to be crazy long, but it should take you double the time that the video is because you're going to be doing a lot of reflecting. And once you do this reflection, you're going to learn so much about yourself. So for me, my lowest moment was I didn't value my life and I tried taking it, which a lot of people don't like to bring up, but I say that in hopes to empower other men and women. But 5 years ago, I tried taking my life, so that was my lowest moment. I felt like I was at the deepest, darkest pit of my life. And the reason I write down my lowest moment here is so you guys can understand how low the low is. We're not talking just, I didn't get my job I wanted, or my dream girlfriend rejected me, and I'm still a virgin, whatever the bullshit is, right? And that's not really low. I want you to think very low, like low as you possibly can, the deepest hole of emotion that you felt in your heart. That is the lowest moment. So what actually happened, that's for me to write down, but again in the title, that's what it says, right? So you guys are writing down what actually happened so you can understand why it happened. That's why you write down what actually happened, because after you reflect from that lowest moment, you're able to see what to not to do or learn from going forward. So what emotions did you feel? I felt dull, felt hopeless, felt anger, um, gray, right? The reason you write down what emotions did you feel is because you want to remember those emotions. And you want to remember why those emotions happened. Because if you were to just run from that emotion for so long, when that emotion comes back up in your life, you're not going to know how to respond. You're not going to know how to truly, I guess, flee it or attack back against that emotion. So write the emotions that you felt so you can understand why they happened. And what did you learn? So for me, humans are much more, I cannot type, capable than we realize. So what I learned from me being at the lowest point of my life, not valuing my life, is that humans are much more capable than we realize. Pulling myself at the deepest, darkest pit I've ever been in my whole entire life taught me that I can do anything. I literally wanted to die. I wanted to do literally backspace on the keyboard or back delete, control alt delete. I wanted to do that to myself, and that's a very powerful And it's a thing you can't get back. It's the lowest of lows, in my opinion. And to be able to pull myself out of that, I learned that humans are much more capable than we realize, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And it taught me so much about myself emotionally, and it taught me about others emotionally. So I want you guys to write down, what did you learn from your low moment? It doesn't need to be, it can't be surface level. It needs to be something in depth that you learn, that you take with you every single day in this moment. So after you do that, we'll bring to some light, and not such your lowest moment, but we're going to bring up your biggest win, right? So now the second topic is going to be your biggest win. So what actually led to your biggest win? I could say it could be me starting my own business, but I would say healing my depression. Boom. That's what we get, all right? Healing my depression. What actually happened? So I found working out. I found exercise. Found working out as a means of therapy, and it made me love who I see in the mirror, not just physically, but mentally. So, what actually happened, or what led me to healing my depression? Again, it cannot be surface level, and I want you guys to really deep and dive into your conscious and your subconscious to understand what actually happened to you. So I found working out as a means of therapy. It made me love who I see in the mirror. It made me love the man that I was becoming, because I was no longer the person that was feeding into my depression and anger and hopelessness. I was a person that was feeding into discipline, feeding into direction and purpose. And it grew me, not just physically. Obviously, I lost 80 pounds. I did everything that comes with the working out and eating right, but I grew mentally and spiritually. And that was something that I was not thinking was going to happen going into it. So I want you guys to write down what happened, what led you to your best moment, what are the actions that led you there, and then what emotions did you feel? I felt a sense of, I'm going very broad here, you guys should be more in depth, but this is just the purpose of the video. I felt a sense of purpose. Again, I'm being very broad and short with it because it's for like the timing of the video. This can take you anywhere from 30 minutes, 20 minutes to hours for some people. It just depends how much baggage you have to get off your chest. But the second thing is, what emotion did you feel? I felt a sense of purpose. I felt a sense of direction. I felt a sense of love. It was almost like this weighted blanket of anger was lifted off of me as soon as I started working out. And it gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of direction. It taught me how to be the version of Isaiah who I know today. So now you guys need to understand your emotions that led into your wins, and that is the most important. So now that we have actions that led to our win, our biggest moment, and now we know the emotions that led to our biggest moment, what did you learn from it? That, for me, it's that working out is therapy. I cannot type. That working out is therapy. So that is what I learned from it. And then now I understand what led me to my lesson and what led me to my biggest win. Because now I have the actions that led me to it. I know the emotions that led me to it. So now it's able to be replicated. And then the third thing we're going to do before we wrap everything up is your repeating pattern. Excuse me. So what negative behaviors and what positive behaviors keep popping up in your life? So you'll have two columns on your pen and paper, or you can just do two dashboards. But for this purpose, I'll do negative behaviors and then what triggers it. So I'll put my negative behaviors, and then the second line is what triggers it. I cannot type, excuse me. All right, so what are my negative behaviors in this current moment? This isn't a question from the past or the future. This is, what am I doing right now that is bad for me? So I can put, my negative behaviors or are laziness. It can be consistency, right? Whatever the case may be. So now I know what my negative behaviors are, lazy inconsistency. So now what triggers that laziness in my mind? What triggers the lack of consistency? So I'll put lack of. So what triggers my lack of consistency? I'd say video games, doom scrolling, um, discipline, right? That is what triggers it. So once we understand that, and we do the same thing for positive behaviors. So we'll go down here. So we'll just do the same thing. Excuse me. So let's do the same for positive behaviors. What are my positive behaviors? My perseverance, my good mindset. I'll say positive mindset, more specific. All right, and then the list can go on. It's gonna be as long as you want it to be. If you can't really pull things out that are positive in your mind right now, I promise you go ask someone else or just pull shit out of your ass. 'Cause I promise you there's more than you realize. Your positive mindset or positive behaviors could just be simply, I wake up in the morning. Boom. Anything can be positive. You just look at it, glass half full, glass half empty. You know. So what triggers that? My perseverance is led. Let's say all the habits that I've made from the gym and healing. A positive mindset's also from that. So that now we know what triggers it. So you guys need to understand your repeating pattern. So now as we wrap everything up, I'm going to ask you guys this. This is going to conclude everything together for you guys at the end. Who would I be without my repeating pattern? So who would you be without the negative patterns, without the bad behaviors? Who would you be without the positive behaviors? So it doesn't need to. This needs to be a paragraph. One paragraph, 1 to 2 paragraphs at least, but one paragraph at least describing who you'd be. And without my negative behaviors, I would be a man fulfilling my true purpose. And I can keep going for so on, keep going. But this is literally going to make you understand yourself. This 4-question repeat, simple reflection is going to help you understand yourself. Because without understanding yourself, you're simply just a shell of yourself. So hopefully this helps you guys just as it helped me. God willing, this is something that really, really helps you guys. And if it does not, you still feel like you don't understand yourself, you feel like you just can't make up the best version of you in your mind, then I have an offer for you guys. So I want to offer you guys the same way that I healed myself, the same way that I pulled myself out of the pits and the darkest pits of life and healed myself from depression and healed myself from a lack of love when I looked in the mirror. I have an offer to do the same for you guys. So I offer one-on-one coaching for people that are looking to heal their life, find purpose through just mindset, through fitness, through just the daily reflecting actions that are going to better you every single day. So if you guys are looking to do that, click the link in my bio, and I promise you I can guarantee that you guys will find success. And the reason I can guarantee it is because I literally tried dying. I literally could not go any lower, but I pulled myself out the pit. If I can do it, I know I can do it for others because I've already done it for others. Through my in-person training business, I've already changed people's lives multiple times. I've already changed people's lives online through my testimony and through my experiences. So I have an offer for you guys. If you are looking to do the same, click the link in my bio, and I would gladly love to help.